Hello everybody. I would like to welcome you on today's webinar on the changing face of IT services in 2017. My name is Christina Schumann and I'm the moderator of today's webinar. The presenter of today is Nicole Duft. She is Independent Vice President for Digital Enterprise at PLC Germany. During the webinar, you can write your questions in the chat box on the right-hand side. Nicole will answer as many questions as possible afterwards. The session is recorded and the slides and replay will be provided to you on the webinar's landing page in a few days. So very welcome, Nicole.
Well, thanks everyone, and thanks for joining. I'm very happy that we have, I think, around 170 registrants from all around the world. So today's webinar will look at how IT services markets are currently changing and how they will continue to change in 2017 and beyond. And we will look at the characteristics that IT service providers, in our view, have to cultivate in 2017 in order to support their customers' transformational journeys and also to continue winning strategic deals. As Christina said, my name is Nicole Duft. I am part of PAC's digital CX and IoT team, and yeah, I hope you will bear with me over the next 30 minutes or so. So let's first look at the IT services market in Europe from a growth perspective. In 2017, we expect the markets to grow by around 3%, and this will also be the average over the next 2 to 3 years. And sorry for being a bit European focused here. I expected that most of the participants will be from Europe, but I saw in the list of the registrants that there are also people from the US and from India, for example, and other places of the world joining. So here you can see that within Europe, some countries will be a bit below the 3%, the UK, for example, others will be above, like Germany. And if you look at the US, it looks a bit better than here in Europe, so we will have more than 5% growth in the IT services markets in 2017. India looks even better with around 11 to 12%. So in Europe, we have to be happy with around 3% that we have. And frankly, this is, of course, not overly exciting. It's not a hockey stick growth rates that you see here. But of course, as we all know, there are areas of growth that look much more exciting. So here we have put together those areas that show really a much better growth rate than the average of the IT services market. So take, for example, digital customer experience. 10% already sounds much better. And of course, within digital customer experience, there are also areas with growth rates way above the 10% that you see here, for example, around omnichannel solutions or customer experience analytics. There are areas that are even growing above this. Then, of course, big topic is IoT, also cloud. Both these topics, IT services projects around these topics will grow around 20 or even above 20% over the next couple of years until 2020. And you know, the top growth topic over the next couple of years will be big data. This will be the growth leader of over the coming years. But of course, and this is why I put both volume and growth into this graph, you have to be aware that many of these growth topics are still quite small in volume. So if you take, for example, big data, this is today only 2% of the total IT services market. So you have strong growth, but you have to be aware that it's coming from a rather low or relatively comparatively low volume here. And you also have to be aware that there are some significant overlaps between these topics. You can't just add them up here. So please be aware of that. But this webinar is not primarily about data and figures, but it's about structures and characteristics. So we rather want to look at what these changes in growth topic mean for your business as an IT service provider. And one thing is very clear, that the share of most of the large IT service providers' current bread and butter business will significantly decrease over the next couple of years. So you all know about the notion of fast and slow IT, and most of the large IT service providers still have the bulk of their business in the legacy and slow IT space. So, you know, the classical large infrastructure outsourcing deals, the large application management deals around legacy, integration, development around legacy structures. And this is all about, you know, long-term engagement, stability, security, highly process and governance driven. And in 2014, this legacy slow IT space made up for still 70% of the market, and we believe that by 2019 this will decrease to 45%. And on the other hand, the area of fast IT, you know, everything around agile and responsive IT operating models, and IT that really supports disruptive innovation and business operations, where it's all about agility and innovation and also collaboration. You know, the topics, the growth topics that I showed you before, big data, cloud, digital, customer experience, IoT, these are all in here. And this part of the business will considerably grow. So in case that much of your business is still in the slow IT space, you will have to adjust significantly over the years to come if you want to address the fast IT space, because tapping into these new growth topics will require a different way of working with your customers. It will require new skills and capabilities that I will address in the second part of this webinar. But let's first have a look at how some of the large IT service providers have reacted and are reacting to this shift. Well, most of them reacted by going shopping, actually. In particular, they went shopping for digital agencies. Here you can see some examples. This is not comprehensive, you know, just some examples of some of the larger players. I think Accenture was one of the first large ones that really went out. They acquired Fjord, large digital and design agency in 2013. We have Wipro Digital, who acquired one of the largest strategic design companies, Design-it, in 2015. IBM and Capgemini have been active last year in buying agencies, also Cognizant. Again, these are just some examples of the digital acquisitions that we have seen in the market. What is important to understand, in my view, is that they are not just buying design capabilities. They are also buying an agile and innovation-friendly mindset. So they are acquiring new ways of working and new corporate cultures with them that partly differentiate quite substantially from the classical large IT service providers' corporate cultures and business. And they have done so, and they continue to do so in our view, because it's becoming very clear that in the fast IT space, the capabilities and the approaches and the work styles will have to differ significantly from those needed in the slow or in the legacy IT space. We really think that fast IT and digital transformation and excuse me, digital transformation is a term, you know, it's kind of a bit overstressed, but still we believe that those projects, those really strategic transformation projects, require very, very holistic capabilities. And companies really need partners that can provide for a very complex mix of these capabilities, ranging really from high-level strategy consulting, over outstanding customer experience design, all the way to technology, strategy, implementation, and operations. And while in the past many of your customers turned to different types of consultants for all these needs, we believe that they are increasingly looking for partners that can address all of these areas, or at least most of them. First, because the interdependencies between the different consulting and technologies areas are clearly increasing. Companies that work with different partners for each of those capabilities or areas, they really risk that the complexities will mount considerably, and you have tons of handovers. So when in the past you could say you have your management consultancies defining a strategy, and then you hand it down to the IT service providers to implement the technology, and then you give it to your agency to make it look nice. Very simplified, of course. This does not work anymore, we think, especially not if you work in an agile mode. If you work in an agile mode, you need constant iterations between strategy, design, and technology, and you will need that the people that work on those different areas work really, really closely and best sit together in one team. So we believe that in the future it will become more important to really cover all those different capabilities than this was the case in the past. So as a response, there is a new breed of service provider emerging that merge all this, that merge strategy consulting, digital agency, and system integrators, and maybe even BPO capabilities. But of course, not only the IT services providers have seen that or seeing that. So not only they went shopping for digital design capabilities, but also the professional services firms and the management consultants. Again, here's some examples. The Big Four, KPMG, PwC, EY, Deloitte, they all have acquired agencies over the past years. Also, McKinsey has acquired Luna in 2015, Veriday in 2016, somehow a Veriday Swedish design company, somehow the design companies, many of the good design companies seem to come from Scandinavia. So clearly, again, this is not just something that we see from parts of the IT services providers, but also from the management consultancies and the professional services teams. So what we are observing, and the trend has become clear over the past couple of years, is that the competitive landscape in IT services, especially if we talk about the fast IP, the transformational project, is really transforming and changing. As I said, the strategy consultants are significantly enhancing their technology and their design capabilities. The digital agencies, on the other hand, also enhance their technology capabilities, and the IT services providers, as we have seen, are enhancing their digital capabilities. And all of them are somehow going for the same kind of projects. They all want to help the customers transform, innovate, and be ready for the digital age. And quite recently, we are also seeing another group of players jumping into the similar space, which are the industry players, like a Siemens or GE or Bosch, just to name a few examples. Because of course, with IoT becoming a more important part of digital transformation, they are bringing in very important engineering and industry capabilities, and partly they are pitching for very similar projects. So in this environment, it will be very key that IT service providers transform themselves as well. when they credibly want to support their customers in their transformation journey. So what will you need to stay ahead of the increasing number of competitors if you want to address the fast IT projects? We have tried to define 7 characteristics that we see as crucial at PAC, and just to make this clear, I will not talk about technology capabilities here. I think they are quite clear, but I will talk about the characteristics that you should cultivate, in our view, within your organization. First, we believe that the ability to co-innovate, to think and act within a broader ecosystem will be absolutely critical. Increasingly, we see that IT service providers will be part of their customers' business ecosystems rather than simply being their IT service provider, especially in all the smart whatever, smart transportation, smart home, smart energy ecosystems that are currently coming up. Because in these ecosystems, the way how you collaborate with your customers and with your partners and with the players from other industries will significantly change. Instead of, classically selling IT solutions, you will be asked to jointly create business value with your customers and maybe go to market together with new collaborative business models. We think that really completely new contractual and delivery models will be on the rise. New flexible framework contracts, new business KPIs that will play an increasing role. So it will be very key that you don't just have the technologies for sharing or co-innovating with your partners, but also that you have the mindset and the knowledge of new co-innovation approaches. This might sound very obvious, but I think in the daily business and in realizing this, that is much more complex than it might sound at the first sight. Second characteristic, you have to be highly experimental in what you do in fast IT. And of course, everyone is talking about agile and applying agile in software development today, for example. But really applying agile approaches, for example, for planning larger projects or even entire strategies requires really a significant mindset shift. Being clear that, for example, you can't plan for a 100% perfect solution with a 100% pre-planned budget, but you might have to start very small, test something, collect feedback, learn and iterate again and again, and you might have to throw everything overboard in the middle of the project. And then suddenly the much stated need, everybody talks about that you need to be able to fail. That sounds good theoretically, but in practice it's very difficult to do often. So this is also something that might be quite difficult to explain to your customers, that often you can't really predefine every step of the process of the project that's ahead of you. You have to make sure that letting go of things in between and starting new or iterating all the time is part of an agile process. And this might also be something that's difficult to embrace for your sales team. They want to sell large projects with large predefined budgets, but you might have to start small and move incrementally from there. So this also, changes the traditional IT services approach where you have a customer-defined requirement or specification. It really needs to change here, and we think that these classical approaches will gradually be phased out and be complemented by more agile project approaches on a broader scope. The third characteristic that we see as crucial is if you want to be successful in fast IT projects, in our view, you have to become much more design-centric. And many of us have to transform our understanding of design. We often think of design as something like the color finish, something nice, beautiful, the beauty that comes on top somehow. But our understanding of design has to go back to, in our view, to when design was originally created in the 1920s by the Bauhaus Industrial Design School. I've put here a quote from Laszlo Moholy-Nagy, difficult to pronounce, it's an Hungarian name, and he said really that design is a way to address a problem or an attitude of problem solving that really integrates various perspectives and very, very strictly goes from the user need, from the customer need, and includes perspectives, business perspectives, technology perspectives. Back then also things like materials. But what I think is crucial is that this way of approaching a problem or developing a solution has to sink deeply into our mindset. And of course we all talk about customer centricity and thinking from the customer's perspective, but much too often if we're really honest, we think from our capabilities, our portfolio, our market positioning, our competitors, then really truly from what the customer needs. And this is what strategic design or design thinking is really all about. The fourth one, and here I'm looking just a tiny little bit more into the future than on the other topics, but I think it is very important to be ready because the developments in artificial intelligence are so fast and might change much faster than we all expect. So in our view, IT service companies should not only help their customers to utilize AI and cognitive computing in the customer's business, but apply themselves. And this really relates to supporting human decision making or even automating or replacing human decision making in some areas, and that will be key to future success of IT services providers, I think. This will reach from planning and strategy, decision making, over how you manage and control your processes, also how you optimize your workplace, and how you deal with knowledge and information. And it will also apply to, and this is a bit difficult to admit for me as an analyst, it will also apply to a large part of research and consulting. Clearly some parts of my job description will be replaced by AI as well. I hope it will be the rather boring ones and not the interesting parts of my job. I think we have ought to be aware that AI will, in the next couple of years, change many things very considerably, and we have to be prepared for those changes. The fifth one, we all know that it's very important to overcome silo thinking. We all know that innovations will best flourish if you have multidisciplinary teams and when we have people from different disciplines and perspectives working together. But if you look at your own organization and if you look at most IT services organizations, especially the large ones, they are still organized by industries, for example, where you have the manufacturing team and the utilities team and the telco and media team. Or they are organized by technology, so you have the cloud and the mobile and the big data team, you name it, or the marketing and the sales teams. And even though customer projects are often staffed with people from different areas or LOBs, the permeability between the different teams is still not too good at the large players. So I think it's really important to look at the walls between the silos and really bring people together, not just at your customers, not just getting rid of your customers silos, but getting rid of your own silos as well. Coming to the sixth one, I believe that none of you will question the need to become faster and more agile if we look at how the velocity of change keeps increasing. But excuse me for being a little bit disrespectful here, but I think many IT service providers, many of the large players in the market still look a bit like this. They have areas where they don't, but many are missing really the organizational structures and the cultural preconditions for agility and continuous innovation. And don't get me wrong here, elephants are wonderful and very strong and very intelligent animals, but it's just the question whether they are very well equipped to deal with exponential change. I personally believe that IT service providers should look a bit more like this. You have to be extremely fast, you have to be very agile, elastic, slim, elegant, because again the velocity of change is so fast. If you're not fast enough, it will be difficult to enable your customers to be fast enough for exponential change. And of course this is much about organizational structures, and it's also about technological capabilities, but we all know that the most important factor that can drive or hinder change are really our people. So in my view, and this is the last characteristic that I want to talk about, in my view, if you want to be highly agile, if you want to be highly innovative, it is absolutely key to focus on the people in your organization and create an environment for them that gives them a safe space to innovate and also to fail. You have to give them an environment that kind of frees their intrinsic motivation and creativity to find new solutions to your customers' challenges. So I think it's important to understand, if you don't foster or if you don't cultivate the environment also that gives people to take decisions responsibly and independently in small and autonomous teams very quickly without going through all the hierarchies. This is a very important precondition to be agile and fast. Because if a decision has to go through all the hierarchies, the probability that it is killed on the way, or worse, even not born in the first place, is very high. I have touched on the openness to risk and failure before. It's of course important to implement a culture where you fail early and learn from your failures rather than failing late and failing very expensively. And again, this is easier said than done, but it requires a lot of openness to say it's okay if we learn from it, and it's okay if we see that early what's happening. And of course also we said before, ideas flourish best if you work in multidisciplinary teams, but this requires that you also have a culture that you share and that you collaborate across different lines of business and across different silos in your organization. And last but not least, it has to be very clear that people will only do their very best if they clearly understand where your company or your team is heading and why. And so as much as we talk about technology, I think it's absolutely necessary to talk about people and the culture, the people preconditions for agility and innovation. So to sum this up very quickly, we believe that we boiled it down to 7 characteristics that are really important for any company, but also for you as an IT service provider if you want to win strategic transformation deals and innovation projects. Thinking and working in ecosystems, being highly co-innovation is the first one. Trying, failing, learning, being experimental is more important than long-term strategies. I think that's very important to see. We have to understand what strategic design is and what it means to create the experience strictly from the customer's perspective. In our view, you should start experimenting with cognitive computing not just in customer projects but also in different areas of your own organization to be prepared for the disruptions that are ahead of us there. Of course, overcoming the silos, working in multidisciplinary teams, doing that in a very fast and agile mode to deal with the rising velocity of change and providing the cultural preconditions for people to be really highly agile and innovative. So, and with this, I wish that, well, the year's already 3 weeks old, but I wish you a very successful year 2017, and I hope that you will be able to change the face of your business a bit from here to looking a bit more like this. And please don't take me literally on this. Thank you very much. And now I'm very happy to answer your questions.
Thank you, Nicole, for this interesting webinar. Well, I think I did already get some questions, and I want to quickly ask the first one. Do you think digital business units or digital innovation labs are a good idea to cultivate the characteristics you have talked about?
Yeah, this is, I think, a question that's it's a large question currently in every industry and also in your industry. And my answer would be yes and no. I think they are, those digital business units or innovation labs or however you call them, are a very good idea to quickly establish the right conditions for agility innovations that I've talked about. And especially if you work in a very large organization and this cultural change that you need will often take much too long to be innovative. However, on the other hand, I think we believe that those digital business units should never become a permanent institution. They can only be tactically and more short to medium term than they can be long term in any organization, because in the long term you have to bring agility and innovativeness to everyone in the organization. And many corporations think simply because they establish a business unit, a digital business units, they have done what it takes. But they should, you know, in parallel start to change the overall organization.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, all attendees, I want to say it again. You can use the chatter box on the right-hand side to ask your questions. And I think, well, we will answer one more question, but if you have further questions, you can always write us and don't hesitate to ask us. Yes, the next question I would like to ask you, Nicole, is, we are ready for many of the things you outlined, but what if our customers are not? They often want to stick to the more traditional ways of doing business with us. What can you give, which advice can you give?
Well, my advice would be then you have to work with them and convince them that it is necessary to follow new paths. Which is difficult, but in the end you are the consultant, and you don't have that in a totally disruptive way, but I think it needs to be done step by step and with a clear vision because I think it has to become clear to everyone and also to your customers that the traditional ways of doing business will not be will not be the path to the future. And of course it's very important that you do this credibly and authentic. Sometimes it's more authentic and credible if a design agency, for example, talks about strategic design or agile innovation as it is in their DNA. But I think it is important that you start working with your customers in those new ways.
Okay. Wow. Okay. I think we have time for one more question. Um, well, do you think 2017 is going to be the year of chatbots?
I don't know if 2017 is going to be the year, but yes, I think chatbots are really a huge topic, especially when those chatbots are becoming more intelligent with the help of artificial intelligence. And I think we really have to be prepared that that the classical way how we interact with devices, which today is very much focused on, touch screens, apps on the mobiles, on other devices. I think we will see much more interface that is supported by chatbots, and also, processes in call centers, for example, will be supported by chatbots. So yes, I think that's a very important trend that we have to look at. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, one question. It's a very long question. Well, I tried to read it. How real is the risk of companies opening up their own captives in order to remove the need for IT services companies? Many companies are beginning to do this a cost-saving measure, but should this be a real concern for the industry? And in addition, as a cost-saving measure, but should this be a real concern for the industry? I hope.
No, good question. I believe that if it's really a cost-saving measure, this is probably relating a lot to the slow IT area, and then I think you should. It's important for the industry players to even more important for the industry players to stay ahead with innovation. So I think it is a concern, but I wouldn't see it as a major concern, because I believe it's very, very important, and companies will continue to see that, to have innovation and co-creation from different players and not just from within. And I think if you just work within your own company, your innovativeness will be limited.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And I think we are at the end of our today's session. Thank you, Nicole, for this very interesting webinar and for answering the questions, and thank you to the attendees. As I said before, the presentation is recorded, and you can get the slides on the website. You will get a mailing in a few days that will inform you, and if you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to ask us. And for all attendees, I wish a nice day or nice evening wherever you are all over the world, and yes, thank you very much.